What if everything that was happening to you was actually happening for you? We're in this really intense eclipse time right now. And it's more intense for some people than it is for others. And that is dependent largely on your birth chart, quite honestly, and where the planets were when you were born and where they're placed in your own natal chart. Now, we have this energy going on right now with the eclipse and the north and south node, and we're approaching going into another eclipse on the 5th of May, which is going to be a full moon reflecting all of these energies that we have up in Taurus. Now, the south node is in Scorpio. The north node is in Taurus. Scorpio is a water sign. And the reason why I say that everything that is happening to us is actually happening for us is because there's this interesting trine relationship going on right now between Saturn, which just entered into Pisces, and the south node that's over in Scorpio, because they're both water signs. And then there's also this sextile relationship, which is also, an energetic of some kind of assistance between the north node and Saturn. So Saturn is a planet that brings limitation, right? And when we hear limitation, we're like, oh God, I don't want that, right? That doesn't sound like any fun. But sometimes it shows up in an energetic that is trying to get us to have a different view of things and to kind of be more careful around what we have and allow into our lives. And the reason why I bring up Saturn and all this watery energy is, of course, because of the cards that I pulled for us today. We have this opening card of the Ace of Cups, and an Ace of Cups is a lot of vulnerability because we feel really open, and yet there's a lot of potential in having one single open cup because it is a number one and it has this quality of new beginnings. And so there's some emotional matter that is likely something that we've been processing and working with. And, it doesn't always have to be a relationship. It could be something else that you feel really strongly and passionately about. But there's some cup, right, that we are looking at by way of reflection. Our challenge came in today by way of the Cosmos card, also, known as the World in a traditional deck. I named this card Cosmos. And this is the card that is bringing in that energy of Saturn. So Saturn is in Pisces. Wherever you have Pisces in your chart is likely where you are being called to level up for the next 2.5 years, because Saturn takes about 29 years to go around the whole zodiac system or to orbit around the sun. And so it stays in one particular sign for 2.5 years, roughly. And wherever that is in your chart, if you have Pisces in your first house or your second house or anywhere within these 12 houses, it's going to bring this quality of energy around responsibility in your life. And, Pisces is an energetic of skeletons in the closet, things that are hidden, our spiritual search, self-undoing is also an aspect of the lower energies of Pisces. And so having Saturn in this space is like having, the authoritarian father figure come into this place where we have been experiencing a lot of fantasy and, dreaminess, because Neptune has been in Pisces for a number of years. And Saturn, in a lot of ways, is like, your dad coming home after he's been away on a business trip and you just, threw a party. It's like, oh shit, we have to put everything in order. And so wherever Pisces is in your chart, You know, if it's your sense of self, or if it's in your second house, your resources, or if it's in your third house of communications and siblings and neighboring relationships, or if it's in your fourth house of your home and your family, it's going to be bringing in this level of responsibility and asking you to show up. And that's likely going to create some friction, which is why it's showing up in our place of challenge today. It's also this energy of completion. And so there is something that is wrapping up in our lives that we're starting to see some kind of finality to, that is a challenge, right? And challenges create friction in our lives, and they cause us to look at things in new ways. They bring things up to the surface. And yet, you know, the way that we're going to get through the challenge came in as the Five of Cups. So more cup energy, more relationship energy. And we can see that this person looks pretty bummed out looking at those 3 spilt over cups. But, you know, when I drew this card, I drew a tree in the background, letting go of its leaves, just like trees do and happen to do in the fall season and with strong wind. And I drew that in the card as a reminder that things that don't help us grow need to be released. And trees do this every year, despite reaching out towards the sun, right, with its leaves and being able to transform all of that energy so that it can live. Perhaps what we're doing right now is transforming this energy so that we can actually let go of it and turn around and see what is in those other 2 cups. Now, the ultimate outcome came in by way of the 6 of Swords. We see this smooth passage from a turbulent situation, but it requires us to get our thoughts in order and to see things a little differently, right? It can be really hard on the emotional center to be in a space that's really rocky and choppy, if you have it in your mind what choppy and rocky water feels like, especially for the heart. It's hard. It's not a very nurturing environment, and yet it might break things down. It might help you to shift into a new situation as you see that situation really isn't fruitful for your heart. Now, the reason why I actually I started this reading with a bit of hopefulness is because the clarity of the ultimate outcome came in by the 10 of Cups. So we have a lot of cup energy. We started with a single cup, right? Then we had the 5 of Cups, which gave us choice in regard to what we want to look at and what we want to put our energy to. And then we ultimately have this clarity of the 10 of Cups. So why do we keep looking at that spilt cup if there's 2 cups behind us? And if those 2 cups may actually lead to this ultimate outcome of happily ever after, right? What does that happily ever after look like to you? Does it look like trying to navigate through choppy and rocky waters? Because sometimes, you know, that just happens. Life presents rocky and choppy waters, but how do you move through it? You know, do you just stand there frustrated, feeling defeated? Or do you start swimming? And I think part of it comes down to how we think about things and how we look at things, especially because we have this, you know, 6 of Swords energy coming in on the table. But it also comes down to how we feel it, you know. And if there's something in your life right now that really just doesn't feel good, maybe it's time to level up for your own heart and feel what's possible so that you can create it. Because Saturn, the energy behind this card right here, friction that showed up for today, Saturn wants us to level up. And in so many ways, it's asking us to be accountable for what we let into our lives. I send you all so much love. I know there are a lot of people going through some intense times right now. And if you would like to look at your chart and talk about, you know, what's going on with it and how it is influencing you and how it's affecting your celestial map, reach out and we'll schedule some time. Take care. I'll see you soon.